Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. It's a full show. We have quite a few things to display. Not a lot. Well, not too much, but enough to display. But here is the deal. This is an interesting thing. So let's go ahead and go right into the show. If you're just joining us, folks, please remember the one thing that we ask you to do right away is please share us on your page, on your wall, on your stories, everywhere, because it is so important for us to get the message out. By now, you would have heard that our economy is cratering, but we will take care of that at the end. We have some other subjects that we want to discuss with you first. Stick with us, share us. Let's go ahead and get busy. So what is the show about today? Obama urges Americans to fight like John Lewis at his funeral, and COVID-19 comes home to roost. COVID-19 comes home to roost. And folks, I don't want us to back off because of some folks dying and us saying, oh, it's poor thing. Because again, we need to be very conscientious and very, what's the word that I want to use? Concerned about those who the coronavirus is hurting. But let's also remember that policy by people and words by people and actions by people have affected the deaths of over 150,000 Americans that did not have to die. And these people with their willful, thank you for that word, Brigitte, empathy. People with their words and their actions have affected the deaths of many, and this is mostly by willful ignorance because of a sycophancy for an unintellectual president who they are following for very nationalistic and bad reasons. That is the reason. So let's all put that in our heads as we are going to go through what we're going to talk about today. Anyhow, title of the show: Obama urges Americans to fight like John Lewis at his funeral. COVID comes home to roost. Barack Obama gave Americans their marching orders at the funeral of John Lewis, and COVID-19 has come home to roost to the irresponsible deniers. Those who continuously said, oh, it's no big deal. Oh, let's not worry about masks. Well, those people that's been pushing those stories, some of them actually seem to have believed the crap they were talking about. Some of them actually seem to have believed what they were saying. They actually believe what they were saying, and in the process of believing what they were saying, they killed themselves. But the originators of those who gave bad information, they took care of themselves. The president always makes sure he's tested. The president makes sure none of you infected people get close to him. Most of the people that are telling you, oh, old people don't mind dying, so let's get this economy going because old people don't mind dying. Kill them, because we need this economy going. Okay? But you know what? You know what the GDP told us today? You know what the 30%, 33% drop in the GDP tells us today? I have faith in my American people. Americans have said, well, you can tell us anything you want to tell us, dummies. We are going to do what's best for America. And for the most part, Americans are staying home. I tell you what's interesting. what is very interesting is we have to have mercy for the essential worker because they have to go out there and work no matter what. But for those who have not had to go out there and work, they're not. And it is reflected in the state of the economy today, justifiably so. So when it comes to these stimuli and that's supposed to be coming up, let's make sure our essential workers are compensated, and let's fight for them and let's provide service to them because they are the ones that are keeping us going. They are the ones that are making things up. So let's go ahead and get started with this again. Note again that the speech that former President Obama gave at the funeral urged us all. Let's go out there. We got to be John Lewis, folks. We got to be John Lewis. John Lewis was on the mind of everybody today, and Barack Obama brought out the best of what Lewis represented. Then, of course, COVID-19 deniers. Folks, wasn't it refreshing to listen to Obama? Didn't it feel good listening to somebody who you knew was a leader? Wasn't it great listening to somebody who could finish a complete sentence? Wasn't it great listening to somebody who displayed a heightened sense of concern, a heightened sense of empathy for us all? Was that great or what? I mean, for 1 minute, I closed my eyes and I remembered that we were listening to somebody who guided this country for 8 years, and that H1N1 didn't blow up in our face, that the Ebola didn't blow up in our face. All the things that Donald Trump is going through when he talks about the China virus and all these things, other presidents had gone through this as well. Hello, Kathleen from Scituate, Massachusetts. Brige MCP, welcome aboard. Michael Rudnin, welcome aboard. And Dimitri G, ¿cómo estás, mi hermano favorito? Welcome aboard, folks. So yes, wasn't it great? Wasn't it great? We had the last president who all these things that are occurring under El Señor Trump, the incompetent Trump, had happened under Obama but got mitigated appropriately. Ebola didn't get out of control. H1N1 didn't get out of control. And all the diseases that we hadn't heard about that occurred under Obama never got out of control because we had a science-based, responsible government that, irrespective of those deniers in every case that you always have, the anti-vaxxers were there then, we never succumbed. We never succumbed to stupidity. We never succumbed to anti-intellectualism. We never did until we got the buffoonery of that which calls themselves President of the United States, who has put us in a complete decline. We are talking about a state of America right now that is in full decline. A sick America cannot be a strong America, militarily or otherwise. We can talk about having that great military, but having that great military is no savior because your sailors are going to be sick. Your flyers are going to be sick. They are all going to be sick. So we are a system in decline. We are in decline because we have a president that thought he knew. And we had sycophants who gave him reign. Well, as you guys know, the sycophancy continues. Representative Louis Gohmert, Texas's resident nincompoop, decided to say, and I am sorry for using these words, I don't speak like this, especially on the radio. Sorry. I am sorry for using those derogatory terms because that's not the way for civil conversation. But when you are in the state that we're in today, it is so difficult, but I ask you again, forgiveness. I am going to try to moderate my language. It's a must. I must. I cannot cave to what our president has done. Well, Louis Gohmert, check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side. By now, everybody knows that Texas resident, put whatever adjective you want in there, has gotten COVID 19. He got sick. I want you to check this out and then we'll take it on the other side.
I can't help but wonder if by keeping a mask on and keeping it in place, that if I might have put some germs, some of the virus onto the mask and breathed it in. I don't know, but I got it. We'll see what happens from here.
People all over the world, they know how to lick this thing. There's no vaccine, but they do know that isolating people, they do know that covering your face up to prevent you from spreading it to others. And if you are not spreading it to others and others are not spreading it to others, of course it reduces the transmission of the virus. When you have leaders, political leaders, following psychopaths like the president, or psychopath in chief is what I think he should be referred as going forward, they put people's lives in danger. But it's not only the people who decide to follow the psychopaths that are in danger. They put all our lives in danger, and they restrict all our freedoms. Because whereas there was a time we as Americans were trying to lock people out of coming to the United States because, according to Trump, they're bringing in diseases, they're bringing in bad things. Now nobody wants us in their country. Why? Because we are following a group of sick people who would rather get their population killed than actually doing something positive to get this virus under control. It's a sad state that the most industrialized country, the most advanced country, the richest country on the planet has to go through this. Now, folks, here's the issue, and this is very, very important. For those who don't believe we're in decline, our GDP dropped by over 30%. You know what it was for Germany? 10%. They were screaming, "Oh my God, we lost 10%. America tripled that. And there's a reason why. Germany got their coronavirus under control. America did not. America could have followed all the things that Germany did. We did not. We had an incompetent president who lied to Americans and who put his head in the sand, and that is the reason we're at. Again, to my conservatives, let's do remember, Donald Trump had one pandemic, and that was coronavirus. We solved the problem under other presidents before the pandemic developed. You know why? When it came to Ebola, we didn't just stay in America. We sent people all over the world as a country, understanding science, that we couldn't just stay at the borders of America to knock out a pandemic. We had to stop the pandemic from developing. So America went to Africa. America went to all the hot spots around the world, and they helped prevent those other countries from getting into a pandemic state. And when they came over here, guess what? It didn't make it. The same occurred for H1N1. The same occurred for the Ebola. In our ultimate dumbness in this country, we did not do that because we wanted to be insular and nationalistic. Well, if you want to be insular and nationalistic, you better know what you are doing. But again, we have a president that is a marketer, believes not in science, but believe absolutely in nothing. And because we have the sycophants, that has put us in all of us in danger. And worse, it also means not only those on the right that decide to be a member of the cult are in trouble, it means us all in trouble. Now, so we have to, and when you have somebody like Gomer now telling Americans, oh, just maybe the mask that I wore was responsible for giving me the virus. In other words, the virus must have somehow, the mask must have somehow kept in the virus, and that is what, look, where does it end? When are we going to stop listening to these folks? When are we going to vote them out and put them where they belong. We need to get all these people out of office so that we can rebuild a country based on science and intelligence. We cannot continue to have this as a country. When I tell you that this leaves the possibility of a declining nation, it's not a possibility of a declining nation. We are a nation in decline. It will take us all years to recover. Germany will recover much faster. China is now going to be the dominant country around the world because as we twiddle our fingers, China has been in Central America, China hasn't been in South America, China has been in Africa, China has been in the East, and China has been using all the monies that we have been donating by having a ridiculous healthcare system, a ridiculous military-industrial complex, as we dumped money into all these systems that allowed a few people to make billions. The other people around, China and all these other folks, have been investing in other countries, not because they're nice people, because they understand how the world's economies work, and they understand other things. Now let's give some tribute here to brother John Lewis. The pastor for John Lewis had something prescient to say, and it's the intersectionality between what America, what many of us would hope America would have been, and what the John Lewises of the world has forced it to be. And it's in some simple words. I want you to listen to this and then we'll come back on the other side.
He became a living, walking sermon about truth-telling and justice-making in the earth. He loved America until America learned how to love him back. What is it that has summoned us here and caused us to slow down, to linger for a little while with so much swirling around us? We're summoned here because in a moment when there are some in high office who are much better at division than vision, who cannot lead us so they seek to divide us. In a moment when there is so much political cynicism and narcissism that masquerades as patriotism, here lies a true American patriot who risked his life and limb for the hope and the promise of democracy.
For those of you who were never privy to John Lewis's story, I tell you, a simple search on Wikipedia. Just read up a little bit about this man. Read up a little bit about this man, because this is the epitome of what goodness looks like. He had to stand up to those who hated him, and he never hated back. You know, those are the kinds of principles I've been trying to teach myself. So I tell all my conservative brothers and sisters, I love you back. Because it is something to aspire for, or aspire to. It is something to aspire to. Anyhow, let's go ahead and play activists of the 670s, James Lawson. Because James Lawson, I noticed, was echoing so much of what we talk about here on Politics Done Right. I want you to listen to this in detail, and then we'll take it on the other side.
I maintain that many of us had no choice to do what we tried to do, primarily because at an early age we recognized the wrong under which we were forced to live. Or to God, that by God's grace we would do whatever God called us to do in order to put on the table of the nation's agenda. This must end. Lives matter. And so between 1953 and 1973, we had major campaigns year after year, thousands of demonstrations across the nation that supported it. We had folk in the Congress, folk in the White House, folks scattered across the United States who were beginning to formulate what the solutions are for change. The media makes a mistake when John is seen only in relationship to the Voting Rights Bill of 65. However important that is, you must not remember that in the 60s, Lyndon Johnson and the Congress of the United States passed the most advanced legislation on behalf of we, the people of the United States, that was ever passed. Head Start, billions of dollars for housing. We would not be in the struggle we are today in housing if President Reagan hadn't cut that billions of dollars for housing, where local churches and local nonprofits could build affordable housing in their own communities, being sustained and financed by loans from the federal government. We passed Medicare. We passed anti-poverty programs. Civil Rights Bill 64, 65, voting rights bills, a whole array. John Lewis must be understood as one of the leaders of the greatest advance of Congress and the White House on behalf of we, the people of the USA. We do not need bipartisan politics if we're going to celebrate the life of John Lewis. We need the Constitution to come alive. We hold these truths to be self-evident. We need the Congress and the presidents to work unfalteringly on behalf of every boy and every girl, so that every baby born on these shores will have access to the tree of life. That's the only way to honor John Robert Lewis. Let all of us in this service today, let all the people of the USA determine that we will not be quiet as long as any child dies in the first year of life in the United States. We will not be quiet as long as the largest poverty group in our nation are women and children. We will not be quiet as long as our nation continues to be the most violent culture in the history of humankind. We will not be quiet as long as our economy is shaped not by freedom, but by plantation capitalism that continues to cause domination and control rather than access and liberty and equality for all. The forces of spiritual wickedness are strong in our land because of our history. We have not created them. John Lewis did not create them. We inherited them. But it's our task to see those spiritual forces. I've named them: racism, sexism, violence, plantation capitalism. Those poisons still dominate far too many of us in many different ways. John's life was a singular journey from birth through the campaigns in the South and through Congress to get us to see that these forces of wickedness must be resisted. Do not let our own hearts drink any of that poison. Instead, drink the truth of the life force. If we would honor and celebrate John Lewis's life, let us then recommit our souls, our minds, our hearts, our bodies, our strength to the continuing journey to dismantle the wrong in our midst and to allow a space for the new earth and new heaven to emerge.
I'm Egberto Willies. Now, let me tell you something, guys. I sat down and listened to that speech by James Lawson in awe. Look up James Lawson. Learn about James Lawson. Believe it or not, James Lawson is 11 years older than John Lewis, who was 80 years old. He is 91 years old right now. James was one of John Lewis's teachers in the movement. He was the one who instigated things like the sitting in the counters and that sort of stuff to ensure that everybody had equal access to everything. Now listen to what he talked about: plantation capitalism. He understands the fight. And all this that we're going through right now with Donald Trump is really just the results of plantation capitalism, a capitalism that cares nothing about anybody, right? And that's the reason why they're wanting to send you back to work. They want Americans working at all costs, but they don't want to solve the coronavirus problem because they want only a select few companies to be the ones that are responsible for solving this pandemic. Let the pandemic metastasize, and then some other capitalist company will come in and profit from solving the problem, reducing the death rates. That is what it's all about. It would have been very inexpensive to nip this thing in the butt, but they won't. They didn't. We could have shut down for 8 weeks back, and we would have been on a tier right now, economically speaking. Hopefully one that was more broad-based to help many others, but we didn't. People, all of this is interconnected, and the one good thing out of John Lewis's death is that John Lewis's death has refocused. It has refocused many Americans now on what we have to do, what we really have to do going forward. Because I tell you what, some of you don't quite understand the dire straits that we will be in, and the reason I keep saying the dire straits that we will be in is because I don't want people to think we are yet in an irrecoverable state. We're not. If Trump could be gone now, and a responsible person comes in now, they could institute a policy now that in a couple months we can start a perfect ramp up to a secure nation. Our biggest problem right now is non-science sycophants of the president himself, and those who are profiting from keeping us in this state. I don't know what the stock market is doing today. Anybody knows what the stock market is doing today? Because if you notice, the stock market is not going to track the 30-something% loss in economic activity, because they are pretty much decoupled, right? Because they are going to make theirs no matter what. They're going to make theirs no matter what. Anyhow, let's continue with John Lewis before we get into the COVID-19 and those that are dying and the issues that are related to that. I'll talk about that afterwards for sure, Dimitri. Let's see. So let's go ahead and listen to what a president sounds like and the marching orders given by said president. Here we go.
America was built by John Lewis's. He, as much as anyone in our history, brought this country a little bit closer to our highest ideals. And someday when we do finish that long journey towards freedom, when we do form a more perfect union, whether it's years from now or decades or even if it takes another 2 centuries, John Lewis will be a founding father of that fuller, fairer, better America. He knew that the march is not over, that the race is not yet won, that we have not yet reached that blessed destination where we are judged by the content of our character. He knew from his own life that progress is fragile, that we have to be vigilant against the darker currents of this country's history, of our own history, with their whirlpools of violence and hatred and despair that can always rise again. Bull Connor may be gone, but today we witness with our own eyes police officers kneeling on the necks of black Americans. George Wallace may be gone, but we can witness our federal government sending agents to use tear gas and batons against peaceful demonstrators. We may no longer have to guess the number of jelly beans in a jar in order to cast a ballot, but even as we sit here, there are those in power who are doing their darndest to discourage people from voting by closing polling locations and targeting minorities and students with restrictive ID laws and attacking our voting rights with surgical precision, even undermining the Postal Service in the run-up to an election that's going to be dependent on mail-in ballots so people don't get sick. Now, I know this is a celebration of John's life. There are some who might say we shouldn't dwell on such things. But that's why I'm talking about it. John Lewis devoted his time on this earth fighting the very on democracy and what's best in America that we're seeing circulate right now. He knew that every single one of us has a God-given power and that the fate of this democracy depends on how we use it. That democracy isn't automatic. It has to be nurtured. It has to be tended to. We have to work at it. It's hard. And so he knew that it depends on whether we summon a measure, just a measure of John's moral courage to question what's right and what's wrong and call things as they are. He said that as long as he had a breath in his body, he would do everything he could to preserve this democracy. And as long as we have breath in our bodies, we have to continue his cause. If we want our children to grow up in a democracy, not just with elections, but a true democracy, a representative democracy, in a big-hearted, tolerant, vibrant, inclusive America of perpetual self-creation, then we're going to have to be more like John.
We are going to have to be more like John. Before I comment on this, I just want to talk to Dimitri real quick. Dimitri, when I heard Clinton talk about Stokely Carmichael, I immediately went, oh, why did you do that? Why did you do that? Because I understand the point Bill Clinton was trying to make. But in sort of a diss of Stokely, of Carmichael, he missed the sensitivity of that particular issue badly. He should not have gone there. It was a competition. One didn't have to be dissed for that. I cringed. Yes, that's what I did, Dimitri. I cringed. But you know what? In the most part, Clinton is known for mass incarceration, all that kind of stuff. But I give him a break because if you take a look at how he was dealing, if you take a look at what he was saying about Brother Lewis, I think his heart was in the right place. But you know, he's a centrist, and centrists like to do things like, let's move it just a little bit so that we can get something done instead of being completely radical and etc. We need them both. In fact, if you take a look at John Lewis, the reality is what Clinton was trying to say is how John Lewis got things done. And there are times when John Lewis had to play the centrist role vis-a-vis when he supported Clinton versus somebody like Joe, how can I forget my guy? How can I forget the name of my guy? You know, but you know, he supported, instead of Bernie, he went ahead and he went for Hillary, in as much as he knew he was more a Bernie person. You take a listen to Carmichael, you take a listen to even Lawson. Lawson made it absolutely clear that, yeah, he shouldn't have knocked down one to build up another. But again, like I said, even Lewis himself sometimes used to play the centrist card to get things done. Like I said, he supported Clinton as opposed to supporting Bernie for those specific reasons. So, you know, those are the things that we have to kind of look at. And there are certain people, I think, Dimitri, that have earned the right to screw up based on their works. Others have not built up enough of a buffer of good to deserve giving them a pass. But anyhow, wasn't it wonderful listening to a president who could speak English? Wasn't it wonderful listening to a president who was speaking from an intellectual point of view? Wasn't it beautiful listening to a president who could actually punctuate his sentences? It was amazing. I closed my eyes for 1 minute and was listening. And it was like, wow. This is, in as much as I was never 100% in agreement with President Obama. I was not 80% in agreement with President Obama. But I always respected President Obama. I always knew that President Obama, when he was president, he wanted good things to happen to all people. Yes, he bought the capitalist Kool-Aid. Yes, he did. But how difficult is it to resist it? It is very difficult, and most who jump into that office, because of the gravity of what the presidency is, not the president, but the presidency, it is hard not to adapt, even in actions. Just the force of the interchangeability of everything that occurs in that office. But anyhow, so I think everybody should have watched a lot of that funeral. That funeral was pretty much a call to order. That funeral was pretty much a call to everyone to get busy, not allow us to not allow them to take our vote away, not allow them to create policies that are going to hurt us, and we can go on and on and on. We have to take back the country from those who are attempting to steal it, and we will. It's going to be a massive election on November 3rd. We have a president who now realizes that he's going to lose, so he's trying to see if there's some way he can spin not having a federal election. We've had elections through World War I, World War II, the Vietnam War, the Korean War, the Iraq crisis, both of them. We have had elections. Nothing, world wars, pandemics, hurricanes, nothing have stopped an election before. Donald Trump is losing, and because he is going to lose, he decides that he wants to float out there, maybe we should postpone the election. Good for him or good for us, that postponing the election, he does not have the authority to do that. Only Congress can change the date of the election, and there's a hard installation date of a president, which is January 20th. And guess what? On January 20th, there's nothing that's going to be really solved unless we were to get rid of Donald Trump before the election, and that would require impeachment. Why is it that every Republican senator must pay the price of this destruction of our country? Because when they had the opportunity to not impeach, the president was impeached. When they had the opportunity to remove this president after he was impeached for good reason, they didn't. They did not remove this president after he has been impeached, and because they didn't do that, we were left with an incompetent president who have put us in the situation where over 150,000 Americans are dead, and many more hundred thousands are likely to die. So let's remember that. Every single Republican senator that is running must lose, whether they are in a red state or blue state or whatever you want to call that state. The only person that gets a pass is Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney did the right thing. Mitt Romney voted to remove the president, but Mitt Romney is not up for re-election. But every other Republican senator, if you are a thinking American, is partially responsible for keeping Donald Trump here, and that which kept Donald Trump here didn't only cause the deaths of 150,000 people, it is causing the demise of America. Please, folks, it is essential that we share this. It is essential that we let people know this. It is essential. It is essential. It is essential. Folks, let's get the job done. Okay, moving on now to COVID-19 coming home to roost. Unless anybody else wanted to say something else. Yes, Dimitri, and counting. Actually, you know what? In the middle of this, let me go ahead and before I go on to COVID-19, give me the opportunity to make my pitch, please, because we do need your support. So what I'm asking you again is to please support Politics Done Right. Politics Done Right needs your support. We need your subscriptions. So I ask you so kindly to please go to our site. Patreon is go to politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. politicsdoneright.com/Patreon to become subscribers of our program. It is very, very, very inexpensive to become a member of our team. You can also become a subscriber on Facebook. We just started that about a week and a half ago for Facebook. We love Patreon. We also want to start building up on Facebook. So please go to politicsdoneright.com/Facebook. That'll take you directly to our Facebook subscriptions. You can also support us by contributing, giving us support at politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. That is how you support us via PayPal. And likewise, you can support us by shopping at our store. And what can you get at our store? And by the way, that is politicsdoneright.com/store, where we have our cups, politicsdoneright.com. And our cups also have things like the squad, and we support independent media. We have T-shirts, we have the work, and of course, we also have our book, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, which you can get at our site, which means everything comes to us. So you can go ahead and go to the capitalist, Amazon.com, and get it as well. Or you can get our book, Lose Weight and Be Fit Now. I've had weight problems, and that is how I've decided to work it to control my weight. Anyhow, done with that. I think I'm done with that. Now let's get busy with continuing our program. But I do need you, I do ask you to so kindly support the program and become subscribers. If we can reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers, we will be completely self-sufficient and off-grid from the corporatocracy entirely. In other words, if it's all you, we don't need the corporatocracy at all, which is our goal. Independence, exactly, only dependence on those who matter, you. So folks, anyhow, coronavirus has come home to roost. It has come home to roost. Today, of course, we lost 999. Remember that? Remember that election? Or not? Do you remember that 999? 999 and 9% for our tax rate, 9 everything. That was a true Republican, Herman Cain. Herman Cain was a true Republican. I know Herman Cain didn't believe half the things that he said, but he was a true Republican. He was true to form. He even supported the president going to Tulsa, a hot spot. The coronavirus was in its ascent and continues in its ascent. And he decided to support the president. The president wanted to show people of color in his midst. So he had selective areas where he had them put. And of course, there was Herman Cain, 999. You put him there, you know the cameras are going to hit Herman Cain as well. So the cameras were concentrating on Herman Cain, Mr. 999. And 999 decided that he was going to put on no mask. I don't need no stinking mask, even though we are in a hot spot. I am Herman Cain, Republican, sycophant of Donald Trump. Well, Donald Trump went there. Donald Trump kept his distance from everybody. He kept his distance from everybody. But they kept their distance not from everybody. They were showing America it's just nothing. And then Herman Cain, just like the incubation period of coronavirus. 2 weeks later, Herman Cain is hospitalized in serious hurt. I feel for you, Herman Cain. I really, really do. And the reason I'm bringing this up is not to be coy, not to be bad, but to those that are living now, to my right-wing brothers and sisters. Will the gullibility stop? Will the willful ignorance stop? This thing is real. When we tell you this is not the flu, that's what we mean. I have relatives that have gotten this, and one relative had multi-systems involvement, kidney, lungs, brain, everything. Hermanos y hermanas, esto no es un juego. Esto no es un chiste. This is not a joke. Herman Cain is not the only one, though. You know, the right wing is busy taking down. You know, remember, they're busy take this Bill Montgomery. Bill Montgomery, right-wing guy who made fun of those wearing masks, who made fun of the coronavirus. It's not real, right? Take it down. And then, of course, we had this clown here. Listen to
Do
this.
not force me to wear a mask. It's that simple. I'm not going to do it. I'm not. The only time I comply is on the airlines because I actually need to fly the airlines to be able to do my job and travel the country so I can deliver truth to you and make an income and grow Turning Point USA. So that's the fight I do not fight. But every single time I go into one of these grocery stores, where's your mask? I say, well, first of all, the science around masks is very questionable. Very questionable. In fact, some doctors think that masks actually make you sicker and have you less likely to be able to get oxygen and more likely to infect yourself and less likely to be able to fight the virus and actually more likely to be able to die sooner. A lot of people believe that. I've met many doctors that hold that view. Secondly, we have a huge civil liberty issue here. Why do you have the authority to tell me what I can and cannot do with my body? I thought it was my body, my choice. I thought that was the entire thought process as to why we are wrongly able to terminate 1 million children in the womb.
Well, let me first explain that, brother. Yes, it's your choice, but the problem about it is when you breathe on me. When you infect the air, you're infecting that which affects many. And let's correct something else so that the people don't get a chance to hear on you undetected. Here's a fact of the matter. All the countries that wear masks, this is science, brother. This is science. All the countries who methodically use masks, they have solved their coronavirus problems, period. It is just those sycophants like yourself, my dear friend, that's creating these particular issues. And it's already been calculated while you wear a mask, you may have a tad bit higher carbon dioxide reintake, but it's not anything fatal compared to getting a virus. So let's be clear. What you're talking about is utter rubbish, and we all know it. Continuing.
Every single year. And so I just don't like being told what to do generally by the federal government. I'm not a type of person who plays well when the government comes in and starts to say you must put this on your face.
Well, then why is it that your side of the aisle wants to tell women what to do with their bodies? They control their bodies. But you don't want them to do that. You want to tell them what they can do with it. I won't even play any more of my friend here because I just wanted you to understand what is going through this ethos right now. And good, I hope, out of the deaths of 2 stars in the Republican Party, some of you may never have heard of Herman Cain, some of you may have never heard of Montgomery and all these guys, but it's essential. But those on the right, they know exactly who these people are. And that now they're dead, they've died from COVID-19, maybe, just maybe, we will, going forward, have those who have been hoodwinked by the president take a second look. And we don't need them to come back and admit, oh my God, we were wrong. I'm not looking for that. I care too much about you for that. I care too much about your well-being. And look, I honestly do. To my right-wingers and everybody else, I really don't have any animosity towards any of you. I just don't want you to hurt your kids. I just don't want you to hurt my kids, my wife, my family. Because that is what you do when you keep up the policies of our incompetent psychopath of a president. And like I said, I don't talk this way, generally speaking. So if I am speaking about a psychopath as a president, you know that it is, in fact, that's what he is. That is the clinical definition of who our president is. Okay, I've got 10 minutes to run through my notes here now, so let's go and start from the top. Hello, Michael Rodnin, AVQ, Dimitri OG, hola, ¿cómo estás? Brige. Empathy was the word I needed to remember. Thank you for that, Brige. We have Kathleen Morgan, my good friend from Massachusetts. At least you live in a sensible state, my friend. Let's see who else is here. We also have Lawrence Sim. Welcome aboard, Lawrence Sim. Daniel Ledo, my conservative brother, who says, well, I'll say what you say later on. Continuing, we also have Lee Grant. We also have, I saw some others come in later. We also have para May Wood. Welcome aboard, May. May sends me some great podcasts. I don't get a chance to listen to all of them, but whichever one I choose to listen to, it's always a good and learning experience. Thank you very much, Maywood. Let's see who else is here. Para ver. I'm scrolling through real quickly, so bear with me as I do that. Who else is here? Brian Miner, welcome aboard, Brian. Can't give yourself something you don't have. That is prescient, Brian. You're absolutely right. Good reason to wear a mask, right? Good reason to wear a mask. Thank you. Word of the day. Word of the day. Word of the day. Okay, continuing. Let's go ahead and talk about these different questions that you guys have out here now. Let's see. Michael, para ver, one new message just came in. Let me see if that's somebody I need to salute. Norman Reynolds, willfully disingenuous is the way I have experienced conservatives. Yes, I understand. Say hi to sister-in-law Susan. Welcome aboard Politics Done Right, Susan. Why don't you come on in? In fact, if you want, you can give us a call. We'll give you some time, because if you are Brigi's sister-in-law, you are a friend of the show. You are a friend of the show. Anyhow, let's go ahead and get some. Let's see here. Okay, para ver, let's go. And just that dangerous, desperate, dirty Durnell said he was going to protect the suburbs from those people by rolling back Obama housing policies. You know, earlier Ledo said, Egberto, you're making this racial. I never make these things racial. I am the most racial-less person. I talk about race, but you guys know I think race is stupid. I don't think any race have. In fact, I get into trouble with all sides because I put that all races have the same deficiencies or the same the same hang-ups, the same all because we're humans. So we create things we have the same bad habits. We have the same, all those things are the same. And trying to change it or making one more benevolent than the other is no good. But you see what happens in this country, white supremacist says something else. And that's why we have to knock it. White supremacists want to say, like, you guys are bad, we are better. No, we don't preach that here. We preach everybody's all the same. Everybody has the ability to do good. Everybody has the ability to do good, to do bad. There was a Hitler and there was a Mugabe. Okay? So I mean, I don't hold people to anything that I wouldn't hold myself to. All races, in fact, race is stupid. The fact that if I could transplant my heart in some white person and not be able to give that same heart to my daughter tells you how stupid racism is. There's nothing called race. It's a thing that says, oh, that particular gene is going to give you some pigmentation. It's going to make your lips thin. It's going to make your nose broad. It's going to make your nose disappear. It is silly. Race is silly. Race is a stupid thing. If I could really get it across solve the problem in one day. Norman Reynolds says, I am the anti-race. Thank you, Norman. I love you. You know, I've always loved Norman. Norman is my brother. We share Caribbean roots. You know, and guess what? And we're transmitting Latino roots into Norman right now. Norman is speaking Spanish right now. So, Norman, brother, somos iguales. Somos caribeños y latinos y negros toda la misma vez. I know you understood that. Anyhow, folks, let me continue with the program in here. Lee Grant doesn't take much effort to repeat the advice of public health experts. Prevention is best option. Maintaining social distancing, wear a mask, and don't touch your face while outside. Wash your hands. It's so simple, Rudnin. And you know what I love about you, Rudnin? Everything that we need to investigate, you get the link. Thank you, brother. All right, let's see. Lawrence says, and on the flip, Donald sending untested immigrants into nations that don't have capacity for an epidemic. The guy's just all around evil, Lawrence. We don't even have to talk about it. His own niece speaks about how evil and racist he and his entire dysfunctional family is. And he could have made the difference. I've known people who have grown up in dysfunctional families and said, you know what, though? We want to cut the line. We want to make a difference. We want to break the line. We want to break the cycle. All of us have dysfunctional families. I have dysfunctional sections of my family. We all have it. You know, those that try to mask it or living in fantasy land. We all have good parts, bad parts, and individually, even within ourselves, we have good and bad parts. Michael Rudden kind of liked the term plantation capitalism. I kind of liked it too, Michael. I thought it was kind of cute. Let's see, what else do I need to talk about here? Let's see, replying, let's see. A lot of you guys, you guys are too fast for me. You answer things so quickly that I don't have to get involved. Bernie and Warren supporters started a campaign, settle for Biden. Not much enthusiasm, but better than Trump. I don't remember seeing that phrase, but I don't remember seeing that phrase, Dimitri. Are you telling me the truth, Dimitri? Don't let me start quoting that stuff and then find out that my always right listeners have made me say something I shouldn't have said. Okay, Bruce Pollard, with regards to the virus coming home to roost, says, home again, we need to find a balance. Health care for all and good education. Fix the jail problem. Bruce for president. Let's do that. El Señor Bruce Pollard for president. Okay, we're going to do that, Bruce. All right, let's see what else is here. I am in favor of legalizing marijuana. I am too, my friend. Para ver what else is here. Bridge says, if NI politics done right with Egberto Willis, we could not vote without land, which they took. So they divided the land so the sons had land so they could vote, hence all the walls you see. Bridge, I thought you were from Ireland, man. Northern Ireland. Yes, I get it. But here's the thing. Here's a big thing. I prefer the way the natives think about it, right? The natives believe you cannot own land. Look, I believe at some point in time, we're going to have to come to that tenet where individuals cannot own land. Land must belong to the commons. Think about this. You're lucky enough to buy a piece of land and there's gold on that land, and because you have mineral rights to that land, you're able to take that gold. That, by the way, who owned that land before you again? And the person that owned it before you, did they really own it or did they steal it from somebody? And then suddenly all the minerals that goes all the way to the core of the earth now belongs to you. Land ownership is one of those things that I find so arcane. And by the way, I own the land that I live on, right? But if we were to have a policy that eventually says nobody can own land, we can rent it all from the commons, I think I could be for that. Because I just don't understand how you own land. But we are at the end of the show, and that's why I started to ramble on another subject. So I want to thank you so kindly for being here on the show. I know you have places to go. Those of you that are on YouTube, if you want to support the show, I always forget to tell you that, you can just go ahead and give us what's called a super chat. Many of you have given us super chats before. It helps the show as well. Real quickly, I'm going to give you those links again. You can subscribe to the show by going to politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. You can also subscribe to the show by PayPal by going to politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. And you can visit our store by going to politicsdoneright.com/store. And if you want to know what we have at our store, I'm rolling it right now on the screen. You can get our book. You can get our T-shirts. You can also get our cups, our books. And what it does for us, my friends, is it makes sure that we, as Politics Done Right, informing each other, can continue. I thank you so kindly for your support. I thank you so kindly for your eyeballs. I thank you so kindly for your ears. You guys make me want to do this every single day. Love you all. My name is Egberto Willis, and you know how I end this baby. I am what? Out! Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willis. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.